and then they tell you, oh, there were 6 wine glasses here, when you moved in there was only 5. So now you have the inventory to go back to and see what was there the first time. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. My name is Janet. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, I want to say thank you so much for always coming back to support me and also to watch my videos. Now, when it comes to renting in Hungary, they are usually peak periods, and these are the summer months, especially July, August, and September. They are usually peak periods because that is when you have students, new students coming into Hungary, and these people need somewhere to stay, so they'll be searching for long-term apartments to rent. You also have the tourists that are coming to visit Hungary. They'll be renting the short-term apartments for them to be able to stay when they come visiting in Hungary. This video is going to be divided into 2 parts. The first part is going to be the things you need to look out for when you go to see the apartment for the first time. And the second part of the video is going to be the things you need to look out for when you decide to take the apartment. So let's start. First thing on my list is going to be that you want to make sure that you're dealing with the owner of the apartment, or you are dealing with an agent that is authorized to show the apartment to you on behalf of the owner. Now, when you go to the apartment and you are not sure who you are dealing with, if it's the owner of the apartment, their family member, or an agent, you want to ask them for the property deed. Now, the property deed is a document that tells you all the details about the apartment. It has the name of the owner or the owners, because some apartments are owned by 2 or 3 people. You can also see all the details of the apartment in the property deed. The second thing on my list is that you want to make sure you take note of every major or minor damage to the apartment. When you go to the apartment for the first time, I want you to open your eyes. Open your eyes and take note of any major or minor damage to the apartment. It can be damage on the wall, damage to the floors, furniture, appliances in the apartment. When you see any damage, just take note of that. When you decide to take the apartment, you can be sure that you let the owner know that, hey, this damage was here before I moved into the apartment. Third thing that you need to take note of are definitely the windows in the apartment. You want to be sure that the apartment is airtight. So there are different type of windows on when you go to see apartments here in Hungary. There's usually the wooden one, and that one is usually not airtight, because you want to make sure that the apartment is airtight, especially for winter period. You don't want to be in your apartment in a cold January night and there is air coming in through the window because it's not airtight. So check the windows. Some of the windows that are wooden usually have 2 sides. So there is one at the outer side and there's another one in the inside. So if it's that type of window, then you can be sure that during winter it's going to be warm. But the best type of window that you should look out for are usually the plastic one. There is this plastic one that is airtight. When it's shut, like nothing is coming in from outside. And the thing with windows is that when it's not airtight, you're not just going to be cold in your apartment, you're going to be wasting your heating. You will turn on your heating, and if air is coming in through I don't know, holes in the window, it's going to be a waste of heating and you're just going to be paying gas bill for nothing. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I want you to hit that like button and also leave a comment in the description box, because what that does is that it tells YouTube that people enjoy this video or they find it helpful, and then YouTube can show this video to even more people. Okay, next thing you want to be checking is the type of heating system. So there are different type of heating system. Usually the older apartments have the old type of heating. There is this gas heater. If I find a picture, I'm going to insert it in this video. And when you see the old type of heating system, try not to take those kind of apartment, because from experience I kind of noticed that those kind of heaters don't really heat up the apartment really good. Maybe it was just the apartment I was in at that time, but the old type of gas heaters don't really heat up the apartment good, especially when it's extremely cold. So you want to avoid those, the one that you can see the flame in the heater. You want to avoid those kind of heaters. There are also the you know, the newer type of heaters. I don't know the names of these heaters. I'll try to search and I'll put it in the video. But there's another type of gas heater that you don't see the flame. Is like the central heating, and that one is better. Even though you might pay like a fixed amount of money for the gas heater if it's central, because you cannot control it, at least that one is still better than having the old type that's, you know, still you can still see the flame. So definitely check the type of heating system in the apartment. Make sure it's good and that is going to be reliable to last you the cold winter months. Another thing you want to take note of is the neighborhood where the apartment is. If you want to stay in a central area and you don't want like a noisy apartment, you want to make sure that you are checking the main street. Is it a busy street? There are some streets that they are busy. You have the tram lines, you have the bus lanes. So if it's a really busy street, it's going to be noisy. And if you don't want that kind of apartment, definitely make sure that you're checking how the neighborhood looks like. I remember I went somewhere one day, I think I went to do my hair, and the person I went to, the apartment was on the tram line, so it was around that Corvin area. Well, I don't think you know where Corvin is if you're not here, but if you are here in Budapest, you know what I'm talking about. And the apartment was right on the tram line, and literally when the tram moves on that road, you can hear like the noise, and it's just too much noise. And I don't know how like people will be able to sleep, have a good sleep when they are living in those kind of areas. It's a busy street. The next thing you want to check is how far the apartment is from bus stops, from metro stops, from tram stops. So if you're not going to be driving, you're going to be using public transportation, try to check the distance between where the apartment is to the next bus stop or tram stop. If it's too far, you want to consider that, because then you have to walk long distance to go catch a bus. But if that is not a problem for you, then definitely don't consider that. Another thing to check out for is how far the apartment is from the grocery shop. Usually in Budapest, there will be a grocery shop around in the neighborhood. You want to check how far the apartment is from the closest grocery shop or supermarket chain. And if you don't want to walk a long distance with heavy groceries, definitely try to keep it like within 5 to 10 minutes of walk to get to a grocery shop, or you can definitely use a bus to go get groceries if it's too far. Next point on my list is going to be about sharing apartments. Now, if two people are going to look for an apartment and they find a 2-bedroom apartment to rent, then everything is going to be split equally between both parties, and they have to pay, you know, the total amount of rent and also bill to the owner. There can also be the scenario where maybe there are already people living in the apartment. If the apartment has 3 bedrooms and there are already 2 people there, and then you're the third person to come and join in the apartment, then your contract might be a bit different. When I first moved to Budapest, I was staying with 2 other girls in a 3-bedroom apartment. And when I signed my contract separately, so all the girls signed different contracts compared to when you go as 2 people, you find a 2-bedroom apartment, you're going to have the same contract, and then you guys can split rent and bills between yourselves. So now back to the first apartment I stayed in. There were three of us in the apartment, and we signed different contracts. So what that means is that if I have my own bills and rent ready, I can then go to the owner and pay. I don't have to wait for the other girls. So if someone defaults from paying rent or bills from one of you guys, then you are not affected, right? You're not affected because you have separate contracts. Moving on to the second part of the video, you're going to see the apartment. You like the apartment, you want to take the apartment. Woohoo! You've scaled through all the hurdles and you decided to take the apartment. That's good. Now, if there's one thing you're going to take out from this video, this should be it. When you decide to take that apartment, please make sure that you're not paying any money to anybody before signing the lease. Don't do any transfer, don't give any cash to anyone, the owner or the agent, until the day that you guys decide to sign. It's time for you to sign the contracts. You need to ask the owner or the agent to make the contract, the lease contract, bilingual. So you want to have it in both English language and Hungarian language. These days they mix it, so if there's like a sentence or a phrase or I don't know, a paragraph in Hungarian language, there will be another one next to it in English. So you'll be able to read the contract properly and to understand. Even though in Hungary only the contract in Hungarian is legally binding, it's good to have the one in English language, so you'll be able to know what is it, the conditions that you are signing to in the lease contract. So ask them to make it bilingual. Read the contract thoroughly, like go through all the details in the contract. You want to be checking the amounts on the contract. Is it the same amount the owner already said in the first time you saw the apartment? Make sure it's the same. You want to make sure you are paying in Hungarian forints. So some of the owners might ask you, at least when you go to see the house for the first time, you should know that what is the currency of the rent that you're going to be paying. Some owners ask for euros, while others ask for foreign, but generally it should be foreign because we are in Hungary, we spend Hungarian forints. So you want to make sure like your contract is in Hungarian forints, not in euros, that is always fluctuating. Some months you pay more and some months you pay less. So make sure you check the currency of the rent. You want to check what is included in the rent. Some of the apartments, the rent usually contains water and sometimes community fee, but in most cases it's going to be separate. So ask them what is included in the rent, also the bills, what you're going to be paying per month. You also want to check if the contract is a fixed contract or it's an open contract. I've had a situation where my contract was fixed for 1 year and after 1 year it was open, so I could leave whenever I wanted to, and that was really good for me, especially when you go to renew your residence permit with the immigration. You don't have to be constantly signing a new lease to extend. The thing you want to be checking for on the contract is the consequences for late payment. So there might be months that you might pay the rent a day or 2 days late. Usually in the contract they will put a clause for late payment. You want to check the consequences for late payment. You also want to check the conditions for the return of your deposit. In Hungary we pay 2 months deposits to secure the apartments, and then you pay the rent. Usually at the end of the contract the owner is obliged to return the deposit to you as long as you have not made any damage to the apartment. After you sign the contract, you make the payments for the apartment. Usually they will give you a day that they are going to hand over the key to the apartment to you. And on the handover day, you're going to meet either the owner of the apartment or the flat agent. When you go into the apartment, you want to make sure you are taking records of the things in the apartment. And you remember when I first said when you go in, you should open your eyes and check for damages, any minor or major damages in the apartment. So this is the time that you want to go there, and if you notice any damage the first time, you want to go there and make a video record. Have it on record that this damage, this scratch on the wall, this scratch on the floor was here before I moved into this apartment, so that you will not come and start hearing stories when it's time to collect your deposit. So definitely make a record of that, and also let the owner know that you made a record of that, so that they are aware that they cannot use that to try to take your deposit away from you. And another thing you want to take record of is you want to take an inventory of the things in the apartment. When I first moved into this apartment, it was the first time the agent was taking inventory of the things in the apartment. I was like, but why is she doing that? Like, that was the first time ever. And when I thought about it, it makes sense because it actually protects me when it's time for me to leave this apartment. She took note of the number of furnitures. She took note of the washing machine, the fridge, the number of pots, the number of plates, the number of wine glasses. She took note of everything. And then there was like an A4 document where we were writing the quantity. After that, we signed on the document that we're all there when the inventory was taken into record. So that's why I put it here. It's actually good, because you don't want at the end of the contract you're about to leave and then they tell you, oh, there were 6 wine glasses here, when you moved in there was only 5. So now you have the inventory to go back to and see what was there the first time. So definitely ask them to take an inventory of whatever is in the apartment. And then on the day of the handover, they are also going to take the meter reading. So you take the electricity, the water, and the gas meter reading. The meters are usually maybe in the bathroom or somewhere outside in the apartment. You want to take records of the numbers, put it down on the contract also, so that you know the numbers on the meter before you move into the apartment. Definitely take the meter readings. This usually they do anyway, and just in case they forget, remind them to take the meter reading. When all the handover stuff is done and you get the key to the apartment, now you can move your things in and enjoy the apartment. If you need things like beddings and you need extra decor in your room or in the apartment, you can go to IKEA and buy some of these things. I really hope that when you move to Hungary, and if it's your first time you're looking for an apartment, that you're able to remember some of these things I've mentioned and also look out for them so that you don't make certain mistakes. Actually, there are things I forgot to say at the beginning of this video. One of the mistakes I made for my first flats here in Hungary, that was in Debrecen, was that I didn't ask more in-depth questions when it came to the bills. So I ended up paying insurance. Like the owner of the lady was making me pay her insurance, her flat insurance. I remember I was paying like, I don't know, maybe 3,000 forint or so every month for insurance, and I didn't know that I shouldn't be paying that insurance. It's her bill, so she's supposed to be paying the insurance, not me. And she just made me pay. I stayed in that apartment for like over a year, and I was paying the lady's flat insurance. So these are some of the mistakes. And also, when it comes to bills, if you are not sure how much you're going to pay, you can also ask them for the bills. They can bring one bill for you in winter and another bill in summer, so that you can see and gauge how much you are expected to be paying during the winter months and also the summer months. Sometimes they will tell you, okay, in winter expect to spend like maximum 30,000 forint on bills, and in summer expect to spend like 15,000 forint on bills. Just ask as much questions as you can. I'm going to make a second video, and in that video I'm going to be talking about questions you should ask the owner of the apartment when you go searching for your first apartment. So thank you so much, guys. I don't want to make this video longer than it is. Thank you so much if you have watched to the end. I really appreciate all of you guys that are always sticking to the end. I appreciate you guys. You're not dropping off halfway in the video. So thank you, and I will see you guys in my next one.